You guys know what this is?
No.
This is a spirit level. You guys, they use this in construction.
Yeah.
So you know what they use this for?
To check the level.
The level, right?
Yeah.
So if I were to ask you for your definition of level, what would that be?
To be even.
Even, right? Like horizontal. Will horizontal be a good word, right? Flat, horizontal, right? So basically, since we know what the definition of level, after you can look at these now again, and which one will be the correct answer? Do you think?
A.
A, right? That's the obvious answer, right? Because this curve is not level, right?
No.
So.
But wait, this is the correct answer?
No, it's actually A. That is that correct
okay.
answer. That is literally that simple. Because.
Are you recording us?
Oh yeah, I'm recording just for for people for my. Oh no! I know, and it's literally it's not a trick question. It's not a trick question. So like for example, the surface of the water on the lake, could we say it's horizontal, right? Because water doesn't hold shapes, right? It collapses in your cup, in your bath is always level, right? Will it surprise you to know that 95% of the population, maybe including you guys, actually believe is B though, even though we know the answer is A, right? You want to know why?
Why?
Do you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
No.
You guys don't believe the Earth is a ball, or you guys do believe the Earth is a ball?
Yes and no.
Yes and no? So basically, if the Earth were to be a ball, this is what the physics of water would have to be doing, basically. Because if Earth is a ball, the water, like the oceans and every huge lake on Earth, would have to be curving around the Earth, basically, to make the Earth a ball, basically. So this is what water will have to be doing in the oceans and in lakes. So if we were to create like a huge structure, a perfectly horizontal structure, like a bridge, like a ruler, basically, over a lake or a huge body of water, the water should start. Yeah, it's always going to be horizontal. Yeah. It's always going to be A. But if Earth was supposed to be a ball, it would have to do this. But we all know this is not true. Have you guys ever heard of flat Earth or people that don't believe in the globe?
Yeah.
Have you guys heard about that?
Over TikTok.
Oh, this is what it is. But I don't know if you guys knew though, but this information is being censored, and the reason why is because it's literally that simple. Literally, it's literally that simple.
So you believe that the Earth is flat?
Well, it's not a belief. If we look at the physics of water, because that's reality, reality doesn't change. Like fire's always going to be burning, paper, and iron's always going to be stronger than wood, and water's always going to be level. So it doesn't matter the scale. Scale wouldn't change physics. That's the point. So people like to say, oh, the Earth is so big, it has to curve, right? But if it does curve, we should be able to measure it, especially if people say they could see the curvature of the Earth, right? If you could see the curvature of the Earth, then surely enough, you should be able to measure it, right?
Yeah.
So in reality, you can measure it because it doesn't exist, because water is always level. I don't know if you guys ever seen pictures of lakes when it's perfectly still. It literally mirrors like the forest in the background or the mountain in the background, like a perfect mirror. Yeah. And you guys know, if you guys go to like a fun house, if there's any curvature on that mirror or is distorted, the reflection doesn't look right. It looks upside down, or it looks distorted. But lakes reflect perfectly, like a flat mirror, basically, because they're flat. When they freeze up too, when lakes freeze up, you can literally ice skate on them, because if there was an incline or anything, you couldn't ice skate the upwards, right?
Yeah.
And the reason you could ice skate is because it's perfect. Exactly, like a hockey, a hockey rink, basically. They have to be level. So what do you guys think? Have you guys ever thought about this before?
Not really.
Not really? How long ago did you guys hear about it on TikTok and on the internet?
I've seen it a lot, actually, on TikTok.
Like recently, or how long ago would you say? Like year, 2, 3?
I started seeing it like probably.
I have some information.
Like
2 months. 2 months ago? Oh, back to back. Oh, okay, so basically, because this is getting out, so the mainstream media, I don't know if you heard of like the news are controlled and all that. So basically, they basically are. So this information is basically being censored. So because it's literally this simple to understand, they have to like make it look like it's ridiculous, like there's no way it is, So one of the main proofs that people like to use to prove this is gravity, right? Like, oh, gravity holds the ocean, right? It pulls the oceans in. But the thing is that a lot of people don't know that people think that gravity is a force, but it's actually just a measurement of the rate of when things fall. I don't know if you've ever heard of 9.8 meters per second. That's the rate in which things fall. So gravity is just a measurement of speed. It's not a measurement of a force. So a lot of people don't know that. That's why it's a theory. I don't know if you knew that. It's the theory of gravity. So it's a theory because they want you to believe in the ball Earth theory as well. So I don't know.
It's like when they say that China is like under us.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it might sound stupid, but I always think of it like, how can China be under us? Like, wouldn't they kind of be like upside down or something?
Exactly. There's another theory that
he's like, oh, it's the gravity, and I'm like, It still doesn't make sense.
Exactly. You know how they explain it away? Have you ever heard of the theory of relativity?
No.
You never heard of it? So basically, the theory of relativity says that when you're upside down on a ball, when you're there in Australia or China, you're actually right side up, and now America's upside down.
Oh, okay.
So it switches.
Yeah.
So it's just basically another excuse to make you believe that Earth is a ball. Because again, it's a theory, a theory of relativity. And theory is just another fancy word for, I don't know if you ever heard of the term pseudoscience, like fake science. That's what it means,
Okay.
fake science. So basically like made up science. That's what pseudoscience means. So that's what that would be. All these theories is just a fancy word for pseudoscience. But they can't call it pseudoscience because they're trying to play it off as real. So they call them scientific theories. But science is literally a method of proving things real. That way you don't have to believe. So it's a contradiction to have theory and science in the same phrase. But people don't really, pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And again, this will be the #1 experiment to prove that, basically. What do you guys think? Like, do you think this is pretty accurate, or do you think there's a better experiment to measure? What do you guys think?
I don't know. It kind of does sound
I mean, this is pretty pretty common sense, right? Pretty simple,
Yeah.
right? Look, I have some information here that I actually pass out. So when you guys go home and you guys are interested in this subject, it explains, like, because I know a lot of people have questions about how the sun works, because we're all taught that the Earth spins, but the Earth doesn't spin. It's the sun that moves up on top of us, basically, like a clock, basically.
Oh, yeah, I learned that in one of my cousins.
Yeah. The ancients, all civilizations.
Geology, I think it was?
Yeah, there we go. Geology is like about the Earth, basically. Geo means Earth. So geometry, for example, geo means Earth, and metry means measurement. So geometry literally means measurement of the Earth. And in construction, engineering, when they build bridges and buildings, basically, they literally use plane geometry, which is called Euclidean plane geometry. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Euclidean geometry. So basically, Euclidean geometry is basically assuming that the floor is level, and that's how they're able to measure angles. 90 degrees, 45 degrees.
Yeah.
So on a curve, angles wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So, but we use angles to, even people back in the day, they used to use the stars to navigate using triangulation, and triangles are all straight lines. It wouldn't work with a curved base. Yeah, because triangles make 180 degrees. So if it was a curved base.
Isn't that how, like, the pyramids?
Yeah, in a way.
The stars
Even the pyramids are built with so much accuracy. It's still a phenomenon today on how they did it. But they use water. Water is the #1 tool for measuring horizontal. So if the oceans are basically water, the oceans cannot be humping up. The water doesn't hump up, make shapes with it. Water always collapses and forms a horizontal line. That's what water does. That's the physics of water. And physics doesn't change, Have you guys ever seen what the stars really look like? I have some pictures. So you guys already kind of know what they look like, right?
I don't know why.
Here.
Pops up a lot on my.
So this is what the stars really look like, and they're actually really close.
That's what I saw.
Yeah, so basically, we shouldn't be able to zoom to the stars this close, especially with an 83 times zoom camera. It's only 83 times if they're trillions of miles away. Think about it. If they're trillions of miles away and we try to zoom into them, they will literally just look like how we look at them right now. Like, you're just a white light, like a twinkling white light.
So close?
Exactly, because there's a ceiling above us, but nobody knows how high that ceiling is. So the highest anybody has ever gone. By the way, these are the planets, and they look just like the stars. So, there's no such thing as a planet. That's the point. Earth is not a planet. So the planets used to be called wandering stars because they literally just look like stars, but they have their own unique paths in the sky. So all the other stars are fixed like a map. That, again, the sailors used to use back in the day to navigate. Again, only working it only works on a level Earth.
Yeah.
On a globe Earth, you couldn't navigate. You couldn't measure angles from a curve, But here, look, there's some photographs taken from 20 miles up. These are all amateur pictures because NASA and all the space agencies, like I said, the mainstream is controlled. So GoPro cameras do that effect. I don't know if you've ever seen a GoPro, how it curves horizontal lines. It literally curves them when it goes down, and when it goes up, it curves them the other way. It makes them concave. But when you use a camera with a non GoPro lens, like a regular camera, like a cell phone, there we go. Look, there we go, perfect. With the GoPro lens, and this is what that's how it looks. Yeah, and this is what the GoPro does. So whenever people say, "Oh, there's the video with the curvature, you could see it," most likely it's a GoPro, because again, without a GoPro lens, 20 miles up, which is actually 4 times higher than airplanes fly. So, because people like to say, "Oh, I've been on an airplane and I've seen the curvature," but this is 4 times higher than that. And look at that, perfectly level. So in my opinion is that I don't think human beings have been anywhere higher than 20 miles, basically. So NASA, when they say they go to the moon and all that, I don't know if you've ever seen rockets, they do like a curve in the air. And basically what happens is they come back to the ocean. So basically, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Bermuda Triangle. You guys ever heard of the Bermuda Triangle? Somewhere like in the Pacific Ocean. Supposedly like boats go missing there. It's like mysterious stuff going on.
Yeah.
So that's where the rockets land. That's where the rockets land, but they don't want anybody close in the area because they're gonna see that they're not going to space, that they're coming back down. So you know how they do live space launches so that people could see and believe it even more? They actually just go back down into that triangle.
It looks like it's curving
because it's going back down, basically. Again, if they're curving, if they're curving around the Earth, supposedly, again, we should be able to measure it down here. If you're actually curving, that's what the excuse is. A lot of people think that if they go straight up, they'll hit the ceiling. So there's a ceiling above us, basically, and that's where the stars are, either are or reflecting off of the ceiling, because the stars are just light, and it looks like they're twinkling in water, and they also change color. So this green one will be all the colors in the rainbow, basically. All the stars will be basically all the colors in the rainbow, but they just twinkle. And basically, each frame is a different color and a different pattern. It looks like they're in water. Back in the day, they actually thought that the sky, that's why it's blue, because there's ocean above us. So there's like basically, I don't know if I'm not biblical, so I don't, but I like to say this. Yeah, but it's just a theory that there's a dome covering the earth, basically. So I don't believe that until you could prove it.
With Egypt's people, like back in the day, their drawings, they kind of had like something that
exactly.
Stars
Back in the day, all religions, I think all 7 major religions, they all depicted the earth as a level plane. All their maps were a level plane with something above it covering it. So on Earth here, we have air pressure, right? 14.7 psi. That's what the measurement of air pressure here. And air pressure just means that the air's trying to escape. So when you add air into a container or a balloon, for example, the air's trying to escape, so it expands the balloon, right? That's what pressure is. Air is pressing against the balloon, right? So the air's trying to escape. So, oh my God, I lost my train of thought. So basically, since we have pressure here on Earth, basically, when we expand our lungs, the air's basically, nature abhors a vacuum. Have you ever heard about that term?
No.
So what it means is that we can never create a perfect vacuum. So if we try to like make a box and try to suck the air out of that box completely, it's impossible, because that's just impossible. You can't create an empty space of nothing. That's the point. Nature abhors a vacuum. So even scientists admit this. So you cannot suck the air out of a container completely. It's impossible. That's that goes against space doesn't exist because of that fact.
Yeah.
They say space is nothing, but it contradicts physics again. So again, back to that. So when we breathe, we expand our lungs. So that means there's the air in here. We have pressure because the air's trying to escape. It's pressing somewhere. That's why we have pressure. So when we expand our lungs, the air basically rushes into our lungs to fill in the void.
Yeah.
And that's what breathing is. So we do have pressure. So there is some kind of containment. The Earth is contained somehow, but I don't know how, That's the mystery. They didn't want us to find out. So basically, all of the religions were created to keep us from finding out what this place actually is and what their true nature is as human beings. So basically, the globe is like the New Age religion, because again, what do all religions have in common? A creation story, right?
Yeah.
And they all tell you how to live and how to behave. That's what government does. They give us a creation story with the Big Bang, evolution, but these are all theories. The theory of the Big Bang, the theory of evolution, the theory of gravity, the theory of relativity, the theory of the ball Earth. They're all just theories like a Bible, basically.
Yeah.
But they play it off as science by calling it scientific theories. But again, words don't make things real. Reality makes things real. So water is the #1 proof. And again, this will be the #1 experiment that nobody in the mainstream will talk about. Nobody. I don't know if you guys want to take a picture of this, but I guarantee you will not see this anywhere. This experiment of measuring curvature with a giant ruler, because if Earth is curving, it should deviate. The gap should increase from the water and the perfectly horizontal structure if the Earth is a ball. But if Earth is level, it's just going to continue parallel for who knows how long. That's another thing. We don't know the true dimensions of the Earth. We don't know how big the Earth really is.
Yeah.
Or if there even is a dome that comes down to meet the Earth, like a wall, basically.
Yeah.
We don't know if that exists. But I don't know if you knew of the Antarctic Treaty. So the Antarctic Treaty is basically a treaty that keeps human beings from going to Antarctica and exploring. So you can't take extra fuel, you can't take water, you can't even go exploring, basically, unless you have government approvance. But Antarctica on a level Earth will look something like this. But again, all maps are wrong, even this one.
Yeah.
Antarctica would look like this if this was correct. So Antarctica will literally hold the oceans in like a bowl, kind of like a thing. So there's no.
It's round.
That's the thing. I don't think it's perfectly round. I don't think so. But people think that because the sun circulates above. So people, obviously, this will be like a logical map based on that. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't be making claims we don't know. That's how we got into this mess in the first place, right? Yeah. Of believing the globe, just believing. That's so. For example, like this is another map of the possibilities. This is like, people think they're hiding extra land beyond. They could. In reality, we don't know how big. We really don't know how big the Earth is, and so this topic, exploded on the internet 6 years ago, and it's been censored since like 2018, 2019 on the internet. So they just couldn't remove all the flat Earth videos online because that would be too obvious. So what they did is they have all this news, all the big channels with millions of subscribers, literally just ridiculing it, and literally that's enough to keep people away from looking at it. That's all they have. They just literally have to keep people away from this information because there's no proof of the globe. Everything will prove that the Earth is level, basically. And then there's actually a video on the flyer in the bottom, YouTube. It's called 200 Proofs Earth is Not a Spinning Ball. And to be honest, if you look into this, there's 1,000 proofs Earth is not a spinning ball. Everything proves the Earth is not a spinning ball. But those are 200 proofs in a video. Basically, if you want to check it out, in your free time. But yeah, this, it explains, basically everything. Any question you have about how it would work on a level Earth. But again, this will be the #1 experiment at the end of the day, that will prove it. Yeah. So, I'm glad you guys, have heard about it. And I'm glad, you guys stopped to talk to me because, again, if you don't stop to talk to me, you never hear about this, right? You wanna answer the question real quick?
Nah.
All right. It's okay.
Thank you.
All right, man.